Welcome to Tupperware Cooking with Chef Mike. Today we're going all the way on the other side of the world to do some Asian sweet and spicy sesame meatballs, and I'm making them with chicken, although you could make them with pork if you like that. I've done both and they're both really good, but today we're going to do chicken. And the reason that I like these so much is because I get to grind the chicken myself, so I know what's in it. I know that you can buy already ground chicken at the store, but you're not sure how much fat is in there and parts and who knows. So I want to show you how easy this is to do at home. Now you may recognize this base because we use this with our Great Master, and you've seen me grate cheese with this. But once you've purchased one of the systems that includes the base, there are other accessories that you can add to your collection because they use the same base. Today we're using the Fusion Master Mincer, and I want to show you how easy this is to assemble. You've got the main body, the hopper, and inside that is the piston that drives the meat through. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and attach the handle now. The handle is very simple to attach. It just turns like a key, and then it's on there. Now the base, very simple. You slide the hopper into it, and you need to use this on a smooth surface countertop, but once you turn this handle, the entire assembly locks down and is very stable. Now, here are where you have some options. This is the slicing blade, so this is what's going to do all the business inside the unit. And then it comes with a coarse and a fine disc, and this will determine how finely the meat is going to be ground. It also comes with a sausage stuffing attachment, so if you want to make your own sausages, you can do that too. So today I want the meat ground finely, so I'm going to use the smaller disc, and you simply put the blade, and it's funny because it's got a completely flat side and then a somewhat rounded side, so you want the flat side pointing outward, and then you take whatever blade, whichever disc, had to find the word there, and there's a slot that it fits into, and then you take the cover and simply screw that in place once you get it threaded. There we go. And just snug that down. And what's nice is that the plunger is hollow, so your extra disc fits right inside and snaps closed so you won't misplace it. What I've got here is chicken breast and chicken thighs, boneless and skinless, of course. You could do all breasts, you could do all thighs. I'm doing a mixture because it's got more flavor. So we're going to grind that up in a moment, but I'm also going to add some shiitake mushrooms. Now, shiitake mushrooms, if you live in a city with a large Asian population, you may be lucky enough, like I am, to get fresh ones. And fresh ones are terrific. However, most people who don't live in a city with a large Asian population have to rely on dried shiitakes. Now that's fine because you take the dried shiitakes, put them in a bowl, and cover them with boiling water, and in about 25 minutes they will completely rehydrate and they'll plump up, and as you see, they're very soft. These were less than half the size when I first started with them. Now when you do reconstitute the dry mushrooms, always save this liquid. It is packed with flavor. You can use this as part of your broth. Now we're not making soup today, but I would save this and use this in a soup because why throw away flavor? All right, so I'm going to use a mixture, just because I can, of the fresh and the dried shiitakes. Now either way, the shiitake mushroom, the stem is incredibly tough. It's worse than chewing on a tree limb. So you always want to take out that hard core. And I'm going to move the Great Master for just a moment to give me some more space with these mushrooms. So I'm just going to quickly pull these. Look how easily. You don't even need to use a knife. The stem just pops right out. But boy, you need to take that. You'll be chewing on that for about 2 weeks. Just saying. And I'm going to just cut these in some strips. And I'm only going to use part of these because I want to use some of the dry ones as well, just because I want you to see how these work. Just squeeze the extra water from them. And I'll use 3 of these as well. Now these also still have that tough stem, so you want to make sure and get that out. When you're using the reconstituted dry ones, those you need to cut out with a knife because they are crazy, crazy tough. But it only takes a moment. And I'm going to grind up the mushrooms with the chicken so that they all get mixed better together. I could put these in the Power Chef and chop them up finely, but I like the consistency when they come out of the Fusion Master. Okay, we're ready to grind. So I'm going to take just a few pieces of my chicken, put them right inside the hopper. And whenever you're grinding meat, it always helps to get it really cold so that it doesn't get too pasty. So I've had this chilling in the freezer for about 15 minutes before I am ready to start. I'm just going to push down and start cranking, and out pops my ground chicken. How easy is that? I'm not using brute force. I'm not breaking my arm doing this, and I know what's in it. All right, now I'm going to take a few of my mushrooms, both fresh and dried, and I'm going to do the same thing. It takes a while to get everything moving, so I need to fill up some more chicken here to push out the mushrooms. And you basically just keep repeating the same process. So I'm going to add mushrooms and alternate with chicken. Here come the mushrooms. Another nice thing about this too is that with the fine disc, if there is any tendons or fat or skin that you don't want in there, it gets trapped. And so you're getting basically pure meat. There won't be any chewiness that you don't want in there. Okay, add some more chicken, the rest of my fresh mushrooms. Last bit of my chicken. As you see, this goes really fast. So don't be afraid of using a meat grinder. You could also use this to make salsa. Okay, I'm going to take my spatula and just clean off the front. Now let me show you how to disassemble it. And the reason for that is because there's still some usable chicken and mushroom inside that I want to make sure that I get out. Now this recipe, you might be interested to know, is gluten-free. There's no breadcrumbs, there's no wheat products in it whatsoever. The reason I say that is because my grandmother taught me years ago that when you're finished grinding the meat, if you take a piece of stale bread and stick it down inside and then grind that, that will push all the meat out of the grinder and clean it out. Well, I don't want to do that because then it wouldn't be gluten-free. So let me show you how to dismantle. Make sure I've got everything out. There we go. All right, I'm now going to remove the collar. And when you do that, the disc usually comes with it, which it did. So I'm going to get all that chicken that did not make it into the bowl. And this could be put in the dishwasher, and from a sanitation standpoint and just getting all that chicken potential stuff completely gone, you could put it in the dishwasher in the utensil rack. But make sure that you get it out and get it completely dry because these will tend to rust over time. If you hand wash it, of course, just wash it really well in soapy water and then let it dry. Now, I still have to get my disc and the slicer. Here's the slicer. Do not misplace this in a bowl because your finger is going to find it in a not nice way. Now I'm going to remove the handle and just push the plunger out. And everything that's been left behind is either sinew or skin or things that I did not want to get into my meatballs. So I love the way that it does that. Okay, I'm going to come back in a minute and we're going to do some chopping and then we'll assemble the meatballs and form them and get them ready to cook. Okay, I've gloved up in order to make our meatballs, but first I've got to chop up a few things to add. I've got my Power Chef here and I've got some scallions that I've just cut into chunks. A lot of fresh ginger. The recipe calls for maybe 2 cloves of garlic, but of course with me, you know that means 4. And I'm going to go ahead and chop those up with about half a handful of some cilantro that I've washed and dried. So we're going to put everything in, chop it up, and I want this very finely chopped because the meatballs need to be very smooth. Give it a shake. Let's see here. Yes, I do believe we have reached the right chop. Oh my gosh, that smells good. I love the smell of fresh ginger. I'm just going to get these done because I don't need them anymore. And now I'm going to add all of these chopped vegetables to our ground chicken and mushrooms. Okay, so I'm going to get all of the chopped vegetables into the mix. And the last thing I'm going to do is add some toasted sesame oil. This is what really gives it that authentic Asian flavor. Now I'm simply going to mix all of this together. Let me give it a little bit of salt. The sauce is fairly salty, so I don't need to do a lot of salting right now. But the main thing is I want to mix this up. And you know what? I've got the gloves on. My hands are my best kitchen tool, so I might as well use them. So I'm just going to mix this all very well. Don't mind squeezing it through your fingers because you want to get all of that garlic and ginger and scallion and cilantro evenly distributed with the chicken. These would also make amazing burgers, just saying. Okay, so now it's time to make the meatballs. And I'm just going to use a tablespoon as a guide. This is by no means written in stone, but I'm going to probably get about 16 if I use a tablespoon as my goal. And you don't have to sit here and roll them like you do with regular meatballs. You can, but you don't have to. But just use approximately a heaping tablespoon and just sort of form them. And I'm going to put these in as much of a single layer in the base of the pressure cooker. And if I do end up actually getting the full 16, they won't need to be doubled up. So just go all around the outside edge. As you can see, I'm going to go around the edge and then begin filling in from the middle. But I've made these before and I've used the same amount of chicken and I ended up right at 16. So we'll see if that happens today. And then these are going to cook so quickly. It only takes 16 minutes. But I have to make an amazing sauce for them to cook in, which will be next. This would be a great job for your kids if they like to help you in the kitchen. Make sure they wear gloves. All right. I'm going to go ahead and finish making these meatballs and then we'll come back in just a minute and I'll show you how to make the sauce. Okay, now it's time to make the sauce to cook our wonderful chicken and mushroom meatballs in. So in the Power Chef, I've already got some more ginger and some more garlic, and I'm going to give that a good chop because ginger and garlic and scallions are the holy trinity of Asian cooking. Now comes the fun part. I have a 10-ounce bottle of sweet chili sauce, and you can use whatever brand you like, but just remember this is the sweet chili sauce. If you use something like all sriracha, your head would implode. Okay, so there's that, and there's a lot of ingredients, but that's what builds all these layers of flavor. Okay, now I've got some hoisin sauce, and hoisin sauce is a fermented soybean sauce. It's kind of sweet, kind of sour, kind of salty, but again, it gives a good foundation and layer of flavor. All right. Now, speaking of sriracha, I do have some hot chili garlic paste. Now, I'm only using a tablespoon. I'm usually more adventurous, but I promise you that even with 1 tablespoon, you will get a kick. Then I've got 2 tablespoons of honey. Don't use orange blossom, that wouldn't taste very good. Just a plain old like a clover or wildflower, but the orange I don't think would go well with this. Okay, then I've got 3 tablespoons of toasted sesame oil. Remember, we had some of that in the meatballs themselves, but now we're adding a lot more. Then I've got some rice vinegar, unseasoned. And last but not least is some soy sauce. So there's a lot of ingredients here, but I assure you that when they all come together, the flavor is going to be remarkable. So now I'm just going to use the chop-in prep to mix my sauce. And I want to pull slowly, because if I pull too fast, it'll all come flying out the sides, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, that's it. That is it. Now I'm going to take my pressure cooker, which has already got the meatballs. I ended up with 18, by the way, so I think I was being a little scrimpier than I usually am. But that way I can share them with more people. Ooh, that smells good. You can really smell the chili and also the sesame oil. Now you're just going to pour this right over the meatballs. Remember, when you're cooking in the pressure cooker, no matter what you're cooking, it needs to be submerged in some sort of liquid. Anything that's sticking out above the liquid will char and perhaps fossilize. So I'm going to give this just a little bit of a shake, and just as an insurance, I'm going to take my spatula and just gently go around the edges so that I can make sure that the sauce gets in and around all the meatballs. All right, that's it. Now again, we simply seal it. Remember, arrow to arrow, quarter turn, lock and load, and these will cook in only 12 minutes. Ready? Okay, the meatballs are just about ready. And I can hear that hiss because the pressure cooker is pressurized. Indicator is up, so now we need to wait about 15 minutes or so for the pressure to depressurize, and then we will show you how to tighten up the sauce and serve these for a beautiful party presentation. Okay, the indicator has dropped, which means that it's safe to open the pressure cooker. Let's take a look at these. Remember to open away from yourself. Ooh. Oh my God, that smells. I got some chili garlic in my nose. Sorry about that. I didn't blow or breathe on the meatballs. Okay, these are done. They're perfect, but the sauce is a little bit thin. So what I'm going to do is strain out, look at that, these beautiful meatballs, and just put them in a bowl temporarily. And then I'll show you a very quick way to thicken up that sauce, and we will be ready to serve these. Last one. Okay, very, very simple. Watch this. Got a little shaker here, my all-in-one shaker. I've got about 3 tablespoons of water. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, I'm just going to shake things up. And now I'm going to add all of this to the pressure cooker liquids. I'm just going to give it a quick little whisk because cornstarch needs boiling liquid to really activate and thicken. So what I'm going to do now, without its cover, I'm going to put this container back in the microwave for 2 minutes. And that sauce will be nice and thick when we're done. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, and a little bit of cleanup, I'm going to go ahead and get our platter ready for our guests, because this would make a fantastic appetizer to serve. Of course, I could just sit there with a fork and eat the whole bowl, but I won't do that. So I'm just going to take some butter lettuce leaves and line my platter because I'm going to serve each meatball on a leaf. That way they'll have a pick, but the guests can actually pick it up and it'll be almost like a little miniature lettuce wrap. I'll just get this set up. Okay. These are actually good cold. Of course, I like cold macaroni and cheese, so I guess I'm no judge. But you could serve these as a cold hors d'oeuvre as well as a hot one. All right, I've got the little bit of lettuce on there now. Now I've got my bamboo picks. Do a quick bit of cleanup. I'm going to cheat. I think it's done after only a minute and a half. And I'm right. I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong. Give it a quick little stir. And before I add the meatballs back in, last magic ingredient is about 3 tablespoons of toasted sesame seeds, because that will give us some nice crunch, a little bit of extra texture, flavor. Okay, now I'm just going to add the meatballs right back in so that they're completely coated with this now thickened sauce. Now it's time to serve it up. So I'm just going to take some bamboo picks. I like these that have the little pigtail on the end just because they look nicer. I'm just going to spear a meatball, shake off some of the extra sauce, and just place those onto the lettuce leaves. It's a really nice presentation, really simple, but it looks very elegant. And it makes it easier for the guests to serve themselves because, again, they can just pick it up by the pick or by the lettuce leaf. Do a couple more. And as I said at the very beginning, if you wanted to use pork, you can. And pork is perfectly good. The chicken just somehow magically rocks completely for me. So there's our finished meatballs. I'll do the rest of these when you're not here. And thank you again for watching. And remember, you don't have to be a chef to cook like one with Tupperware.